With this next question, we'll start with Mr. Van Bavel. Building on this question of job creation and business development, if you had to target certain areas of the 10th district that you think are most in need of commercial development, which areas would those be? And which types of commercial development do you think are most appropriate for the 10th district?
Sure. Well, I'll start with two neighborhoods, Pigtown, because I live there, and Westport, because they have Annapolis Road, and they're gearing up towards bringing their Main Street back there. Obviously, I'm sure most of you know there's a lot of development going on over in Westport. But I think one of the greatest things about District 10 is our convenience factor. You know, we're so close to Center City. We're also very close to BWI. We're very close to 295, 395, 95, 83. So we have a convenience factor that makes us really beneficial for having successful business districts. You know, promoting the Main Streets programs. I've worked through Pigtown Main Street, through the Pigtown Festival, with the Main Streets program, which is part of the larger statewide Main Streets initiative. But promoting that so that in instances like Annapolis Road, in instances like Washington Boulevard and Pigtown, you know, you have to support the community and you have to support the businesses coming in to have a successful business district. And I feel like District 10 has a really untapped resource of availability, not only between the people, the residents that would support businesses, but the opportunity available. You know, the stock within buildings, the convenience of where we're located, and the people that are looking to move. I mean, we have waterfront property, we have property that's close to the harbor. Those are things that attract businesses. And if we can support the people willing to come in through initiatives like the Main Street program, business incubators. We have business incubators at University of Maryland, you know, entrepreneurial programs. That's what we need to be doing to have successful business districts within District 10.
I can't pick and choose between the different districts, the different parts of our district. It's been such fun going, I think I've been everywhere now, one way or another. I think there's one community meeting I've missed. And everywhere I go, there's good people, there's good things, and yet there's great needs. But the fact of the matter is, if I'm done for the day door knocking and I call Nan and say, let's eat, outside of Italiano's, there's hardly anywhere in the 10th district that we can go. It happens that Nan is a vegetarian, and that even Italiano's, the offerings are limited. We did go to Harry and what is it, in between Brooklyn and Curtis Bay the other day. Yeah. So we're stretched out. As that's right. The waterfront, great potential. And you know, so we have the potential of waterfront restaurants and views, but we also need more restaurants open. You know, and all the services. I was talking to a longtime Cherry Hill person the other day, and she was talking about always bopping down Ritchie Highway to get everything. So partly by being stretched out and by sticking into Anne Arundel County, there's all those things nearby. So everywhere, we need to help everywhere, and we do have. I haven't been on any street where I haven't felt it's okay. I'm going to go knock on the doors, and I don't think there's any community that doesn't need help, doesn't need more. We have a little bit of things we can walk to from our house in Pigtown, but we want more. There is Cafe Calypso where we're having our election night gathering. Is a food place that's gone through, but it's gone through in 5-6 years many different hands. We need to get established things going throughout the district.
Thank you. We have a question. What plans do you have? I guess we'll start with Mr. Marker this time. What plans do you have to fully fund the fire department?
Again, I have to assume that there's going to be a tax question per se, and I'll give my details of that. But my tax plan, when I mentioned it, and it's something that cannot happen immediately, and I recognize that, but it is a real potential answer, will provide us not lower taxes, but immediately, once it happens, greater resources, and over time, greater resources. And then, but so then it'll be easier to make the decisions who gets our resources. But I'm not gonna sit here and put on camera that absolutely fire department gets full need of resources, but that schools don't, and seniors don't, and kids, and recreation does it, or whatever. It will still, economics, what is the phrase? Economics is the science of scarcity, or there's a famous phrase that I'm not quite remembering. So there will always be making decisions. It'll be a lot easier if we make the progress that we all hope to make, and I think I have some ideas of making. So I am currently a public employee. I work for the state. I believe very much in public employees and adequately rewarding public employees. But again, just as I couldn't pick a piece of district to serve, I'm not gonna pick say fire is top priority. One of the things I want to look at anybody saying we need special priority is what percentage of your people live in the city. It might be relevant to any question of if we have picking and choosing where to put resources.
All right. This is an interesting question for me because I live about 100 yards from the Union Hall, and I've been over there pretty frequently, and I actually I'm a bit of a dreamer, and I have some ideas that I think are a little more aggressive or pipe dreams, but I think that's what we need, and without trying them and seeing if they fail, I don't really see how it hurts us not to consider them. But one of the things I've thought of, right now in Pigtown, there was a bid out for the Walters Bathhouse, and Bill's very familiar with this, and the firehouse adjoined to it. Now, the recipient of that money would be BDC, and that would go towards their annual budget. One of the things I'd really love to see, there are tons of firehouses, vacant firehouses across the city. Now, this wouldn't particularly work in every area, and by all means, it's just an idea, but if you were to and this is the more simplified version, sell off those firehouses and utilize the proceeds from that, not to benefit BDC, not to benefit, Baltimore City's general operating budget, but the firehouse, so that I think it's $4 to $5 million to fully fund the fire department annually, so that there's no rotating closures. That's what I focus on, because the rotating closures are what affect our neighborhoods. It's what affects District 10. So if you're selling those off and you're bringing those proceeds back into a fund, obviously, probably not. I mean, unless you have a tremendous turnaround in the economy, probably not going to fully fund it in 1 year, but it's a step. Above and beyond that, something to build camaraderie within the neighborhoods, the fire department itself, would be turning them into something similar like a VFW or another union hall, where you could utilize that as a hall, as a place of business. There is Hook and Ladder, which is a brewing company, using them and implementing that so that you have some sort of connection that ties everything in, and using those proceeds to benefit the fire department. And really quickly, I know I'm running short on time, but outside of that, obviously, I will stop now.
I guess I'm going to stick with Mr. Van Bavel, and then we'll go back to Mr. Marker. One of the issues that has become much discussed during this campaign is a dollar house program or something similar. If you support such a program or a similar program to reclaim vacant properties, how specifically would you implement or structure such a plan?
I love this question. Not to toot my own horn, it's obviously something that's been around and been implemented in years past very successfully, areas like Otterbein. When I first started campaigning, that was something that I've always promoted, is bringing dollar homes back. And it was never really mentioned until recently, at least, as more of a focal point, because obviously it doesn't benefit developers. It benefits communities, it benefits residents. I used to work for Live Baltimore, and one of the things that I feel like is greatly lacking in the vacants to value is the fact that when you look at these properties, they're in sects across the city, mainly on the east side and the west side. And a lot of them on the east side are houses that look like, and I'm not certain of this, that are part of EBDI, and they're just trying to sell off these properties that were part of another parcel. One thing I'd love to see implemented citywide, not just in District 10, would be having targeted areas across the city, something very similar to a program called Healthy Neighborhoods, except it would be funded through the city. It would be a city program. So you would pick neighborhoods, pick blocks in each neighborhood. Adam Meister, I think, did something similar when he ran in the last election. He bought a block of houses and tried to rehab them. But instead of something like vacancy to value, where you have 1,000 homes across the city in essentially 2 areas, let's benefit the entire city. Let's let the residents, let people that maybe don't live in the city but see the opportunity that Baltimore presents to come in and invest, and create new life within a lot of these neighborhoods that have been dilapidated over time that people feel disheartened about. Because the opportunity is there, and we all know that there's around 47,000 vacant houses, plus or minus, in Baltimore City. That's a staggering number. So, it's been done before, and I would love to see that brought back in that capacity.